Hello friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story from a cab driver who had to give Karen a ride. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Cab driver picks up a crazy Karen. While going home in a cab, the driver starts telling me the story of how he picked up a typical Karen and her child and drove her to a neighborhood on the other side of town. Now, our city's not big, but this place is inside its own micro-city on the edge of ours, so it takes a long time to get there. What's even more, she wanted to take a route which made them have to circle around the outskirts of the city. This trip would take over an hour, if not more. The Karen had decided to pay with a credit card for the trip, so the cab driver asked her to change it to cash because his car didn't have a machine to charge cards. The woman agrees, but 30 minutes later, she just tells him she won't change it. Perhaps she thought she wouldn't have to pay if the driver couldn't charge. They're already halfway through the trip, so the cab driver tries to reason with her, telling her it's just a $10 trip. Cabs are way cheaper here. The woman goes into a fit of anger and calls him all sorts of local insults that essentially mean he's a poor piece of crap. She tells him she's not paying and threatens to have her husband beat him up and call the police. The cab driver stops his car, turns it off, and tells her he's not moving until she pays or leaves the car. The woman refuses to pay. The driver cancels the trip, resulting in a cancellation fee, which she refuses to pay. They're in the city outskirts. If you walk a couple minutes, you'll be outside the city and reach wilderness. But the Karen prevails. The woman makes a bunch of angry phone calls complaining about the man and insulting. Afterwards, her husband shows up in a car. The driver says he was a scrawny little man, totally not what his wife had sold him as. The husband asks, "What's going on?" And his wife fills him in and tells him she's called the police. The husband asks her to leave, but she refused and starts complaining to the driver, telling him this is unfair. The nerve. The driver tells him he's not moving an inch. The husband threatens with having him arrested and beating him up. The driver's no coward, however, and starts stepping out of the car willing to beat up the guy like breaking a toothpick. The husband gets visibly intimidated, takes his wife and child out and leaves. We pull up by my home just as he tells me she never paid a thing, but the next cab she takes will charge her the cancellation fee and she'll get banned if she doesn't pay. I pay up and leave, thanking him for the ride. I rated him 5 stars for great conversation. Imagine if the cab driver actually beat up the dad. Our next story. Submarine Chief tried to have me prepare him a spam omelet. Not on my watch. When newly reported personnel arrive on a sub, they often start off as a messenger for the senior enlisted in their control room. They run around the ship delivering reports and doing odd tasks. I was a messenger for a time, and this a-hole Navy chief gave me this ridiculous order. Keep in mind the control room is wired so various people, like the captain, can hear what's being said from other places on the boat. This point is critical to my success, and because of it, the chief whispered, "Messenger, take this can of Spam, go down to the galley, and have the cooks make me an omelet." Now, I didn't volunteer to go underwater so I could be a waiter. I volunteered so I could put warheads on foreheads or something cool like that. But I kept my cool, I acknowledged his order, took the Spam, and went to the galley. I talked to the cooks and put in the chief's order. Then I went back up to the control room and met with the chief. He said, "So what's the deal? They making my omelet?" I said in a loud voice, which is a no-no on submarines, "Chief, the galley reports your Spam omelet is being cooked as ordered, Chief." He freaked out. "Shut the F up." Then the captain came out, yelled at him to stand a professional watch, keep quiet, etc. Was awesome. This was the classic a-hole, divorced, raspy voice senior enlisted dude that everyone deals with in the military. Suffice to say, I won the battle, but not the war. Guy made me clean the control room for a long time. You might get yourself a little revenge, but the CPO Mafia always wins in the end. I'm curious as to the effect this had on the rest of your quals. I hope that wasn't the A-gang, Chief. And our last story. Awful Neighbor Bob. I have a neighbor named Bob who's the biggest D-bag I've ever run into. Bob's a wheeler and dealer, a haggler, a con man, always looking for the best deal. If Bob buys or sells something, he has to feel like he got the upper hand or he won't do the deal. Then, to add insult to injury of the deal you made with him, he runs his mouth about how dumb the other person was and how smart he is. He's my neighbor. And while I don't like Bob, he would totally run into your burning house to save your kids, even if it was only to ask for a settlement afterward for pain and suffering. You can't choose your neighbors. One time, Bob bought 3 lawnmowers at an estate sale for $10 each. He couldn't get them to run and offered to sell me one for $25. I knew how to fix it up, so I bought it, fixed it up. Then he came back wanting more money since I got it running. Well, I told him to suck it. He then demanded I help him fix the other 2 for free. It's pathological. He has to come out on top or his bruised ego would be crushed, so I showed him how to fix them, and he turned around and sold them both for $50 each, then still complained that I owed him $25. That's Bob. He's the kind of guy that when you both agree to a price, if it's too fast, he wants to change it after you agree. So the CB that pushed me over the top and why he has a restraining order against me is a little longer. I was managing a project where we bought 20 cases, 2,000 lamps of light bulbs that the owner decided were the wrong color and was good with paying for 20 more cases in the right color. The lamps I bought were 40-watt LED warm dim in standard base, E26. Warm dim is a cool feature. The lamp dims from 3000K to 2200K, and the lamp really mimics the old incandescent lamps as well. These lights look fantastic in residential homes. They were non-returnable. They were going in the trash, so I took them home with the consent of my boss. The day I roll up with 20 cases of lamps, Bob came over, beer in hand, to find out what I was up to, and I tell him the whole story. His eyes just glass over, and he asks if he can have some too. I gave him a case, and he takes it without even saying thank you or helping me unload my truck into the garage. He's a butt. I'm used to it, so I ignore him as he walks off with a case of lamps, probably to go brag to someone about how dumb I am for giving it away for free. Sure enough, over the next few days, various neighbors come knocking wanting their free lamps too, and I pass out a few small boxes of 10 to their disappointment. Then someone on Facebook starts a post for the neighborhood about me passing out free lamps, and before this gets out of hand, I announce they're $1 each, come get all you want. Nobody comes. I still have 18 cases and wonder if I can sell them on eBay. Sure enough, there are lamps on eBay and even a case of the exact ones I'm wanting to sell. Then I look closer, and the box in the picture is a job number written in Sharpie on the side in my handwriting. It was the case I gave Bob. He was trying to sell it on eBay, so I contacted the seller and asked if he had any more, that the price was fine, but I really needed 10 cases. The next day, my garage doors open, and I'm mowing the grass, and I look up to find Bob in the garage grabbing cases of lamps. After stopping what I'm doing, I ask Bob what he's doing, and he looks up as if it's the most normal thing ever and says he's going to help me out and take a few of those cases off my hands for me. The guy's a scammer and a liar. But damn, that was bold. I keep calm and say that sounds great, but the lamps are $1 each, which is what I put on Facebook. The offer on eBay was for $2.50 each, and retail these go for about $3.50 each for some context. Bob is indignant that I would dare to charge him for the lamps. The very guy who would take them for nothing, sell them for a profit, then brag to anyone who would listen about how dumb I was, is mad at me for it. He's pissed and stomps off, calling me a little C-word. This was when I stopped taking any of his behavior for granted. Bob comes back the next day and tries me again, only the price is $1.25 on principle, and I gotta watch all the veins in his face pop out and his skin turn red. This goes on for a week as I prod him on eBay for a delivery time. The problem with Bob is he can't just pay the asking price for anything, no matter what, even if it means spoiling the eBay deal. He really would cut his nose off to spite his own face. We settled for the original $1 per lamp, and I sold Bob $1,000 worth of lamps. He demanded I deliver the lamps to his garage as part of the deal. No biggie, I was having fun anyway. Then I watch as he tells the buyer, me, on eBay, he has the lamps, but there's shipping and handling fee and his cost has gone up. I horse traded with him on eBay for days. It was great fun. Then I walked away. About 3 weeks later, Bob comes back and wants to know if I take the lamps back. I just smile and say I have plenty of lamps, and he's really agitated. After a couple weeks, I just can't leave it alone. It was too much fun, so I contact Bob on eBay and tell him a sob story about my project being out of money and ask if he'll cover shipping and handling. We go back and forth a few times, then he asks for my address for a shipping quote, so I send him my address. This is when Bob figures out I got him. He's livid. He comes to my house yelling and screaming, saying he's going to sue me, and I just smile and tell him to F off. Bob can't take being bested, so he calls my employer and tells them I'm stealing light bulbs. He has pictures and proof and is willing to testify in court, etc., etc. My boss got a great laugh out of it. Then Bob crossed the property line, got in my face, and started screaming with spittle and everything in my own damn driveway. This little C-word sent him home, and now I have a restraining order. Yeah, and I still have 8 cases of lamps that I can't seem to get rid of. I'd have let him sell all 20 cases for a small cut of the proceeds, but that wasn't good enough for Bob. It's never about the money with that guy. He has to feel like he screwed you or he's not interested. I don't know why I kept picturing Bob like the character Bob from that 70s show for the entire story. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.